Hello everyone, myself Dr. Anuj Dubey. I am Assistant Professor of Physics at the Department of Applied Science, Axis Institute of Technology and Management. Today's lecture topic is Domain of Physics. Basically, in this lecture, we want to understand what is science, what is physics, what are the values of science, what to study physics, how to study physics, why to study physics, and some branches of physics, and we want to understand some fundamental interactions and the unification theory. So our target in this lecture is to cover all these topics. So now first thing is, what is science? The word science originated from the Latin word scientia. From this word, science word is originated. Now the meaning is, what is the meaning of this? The meaning of this word scientia is to know. Now the question is, what to know? To know around the things, what is happening around us. To know, to understand a natural phenomena. What are happening around us? That natural phenomena we want to understand. So from this it is clear that the meaning of science is to understand, to know the things, natural phenomena which are happening around us. In general, we can say science is a systematic attempt to understand all natural phenomena on the basis of experiments and observation. When we are understanding the natural phenomena around us, then how can we study, how can we understand it? By help of experiments and observations. When these experiments and observations happened, after that we can use some logical thinking and imagination, and then we can establish the results, and from that result we can understand the natural phenomena. In my opinion, science is based on the cause and effect. What is the meaning of cause and effect? Whatever is happening around us, we want to understand it, but whatever is happening around us, we know this is effect, but why it is happening, how it is happening, when it is happening. If we want to understand this, then this is the cause. So main thing is that whatever is happening, we know that is happening. Before Newton, Einstein or Planck, any physicist, any scientist, the things which are happening in the universe is also happening. But why it is happening, we want to understand this. So in my opinion, to understand science, we know these are the things, these are happening, these are effects, but why these are happening? To understand this, we want to understand what is the cause behind that natural phenomena. That is the meaning of science. Now, if we want to understand science, then the student have cultivate some values. What are that values? First, students should be curious about the events, whatever is happening around them. Second thing is, they have the courage to ask the question. Ask the questions against established beliefs and practice. Means, whatever is known to us, we know this is the established result, this is the established belief, this is the practice, and that is well known. But we have to ask, we have to curious, we have to ask the question, why it is happening, what, how. We have to ask the questions like this. And we have to understand the things by experiments, observation. And the main important thing is that as we understand science is based on the experiments or observation, then a student must record their observations honestly. Means if you are performing experiment, you are doing the experiments, you are taking the observation, whatever the results you are getting, you have to record all the results honestly. And the main important thing is that if you are performing the experiment, there may be some chances of error. So we have to repeat the experiment so that to reduce the error. And the main thing is that we do not need to manipulate the results. Most of the time it is found that students are manipulating their results, their data, and we need not to be biased. We should not be partial. This thing is important for science. And the next thing is being only guided by facts, reason and logic, not to be biased. Now the thing is, what is physics? So physics is the branch of science which deals with the laws of natural phenomena, and that natural phenomena are related with energy and matter, and their applicability to different physical and natural phenomena. So we can say that physics is the branch of science that is related to the study of natural phenomena around us, and that laws are related with energy and matter. The important thing is that energy and matter. Now physics is an experimental science. Physicists observe the phenomena of nature and try to deduce certain laws or principle. Means, when we are talking about physics, it is an experimental science, observational science. Physicists are always performing experiments. They are taking the observations, and from that experiments and observations, they are trying to deduce some principles, some laws. And when these principles and laws are well established and have universal acceptance, it is accepted by everyone, then this is considered as laws or principles of physics. And the scope, when we are talking about the scope of physics is from microscopic word to macroscopic word. Macroscopic word means we can say from the size of universe, that is roughly 10 to the power 25 meter, to the subatomic particles or nuclear ranges, roughly 10 to the power minus 15 meter. So in the physics, we want to study everything from microscopic domain to macroscopic domain. We can say from nuclear range to size of the universe. So if we want to understand the laws of the nature, then we need to understand all the phenomena happening around us, and for that we need some experiments and observation. From that experiment observation, we can find some laws and principles. And I also find that when we are talking about the long ranges or short ranges, in both the cases physics is applicable. Now the question is, why to study physics? This is the main question. The first reason is that we cannot imagine our life without physics. Look around us, look around you. If you have a book in your hand, you can read it, you can see it, but this is not possible without physics. For example, the notebook in which you are making notes is useful only due to the friction. There is a friction between paper and the tip of the pen. If there is no friction, it is not possible to write on your notebook. Another example, if you are writing on a paper with your pen, then your ink is pasted on the paper. Why? This is due to the intermolecular attraction forces. Another example, whatever I am delivering in the lecture, you are able to hear due to the sound. You are discussing with your friends due to the sound. So there are so many examples of physics. If you are talking about for long distance, and then you need communication system. So without physics, we cannot imagine our life. This is the one of the reason. There are so many examples, but at least for these few examples, it is clear to you. And the second one example, almost all technical and engineering disciplines, either it is civil, mechanical, electronics, electrical, telecommunication, or computer science, they all need some basic knowledge of the physics. And one of the more important part is that whatever is the branch of the science or engineering, physics is necessary to all the courses. And moreover, any discipline of life includes physics directly or indirectly. So without having basic ideas of the physics, we cannot survive. So now it is clear that physics is very important, why we need to study the physics. Now the question is, how to study physics? This is the one of the important question, how to study physics. Generally we can say, if we want to study physics, we need to learn some basic principle and the laws, and then we can apply it. But it is not easy because researches are also going on. Till now, all the laws are not completed. So this is the problem. We cannot understand all the laws of physics in a single day. We cannot understand all the laws of physics instantly. And another major problem is that all the laws of the physics has some statement, and that statements are related with some physical situations, and that physics related with some mathematical equations, and that mathematical equations may be sometimes very advanced mathematics. At the situation when we are not very developed in the mathematics or early ages of the science, it is very difficult to understand the physics. So what is the best way to understand the physics? The best way to understand the physics is very simple. We have to study bit by bit. Bit by bit means that if we want to understand, suppose we want to understand a motion of a ball under the gravity. If we want to understand it, then how we will understand it? First, make it very simple case. We need not to use so many things, otherwise it becomes very complicated. First, neglect the air resistance. If you are neglecting the air resistance and you are also ignoring spinning and rotation, suppose initially we don't have idea of resistance, air resistance, and we don't have idea of rotation. So if we ignore the air resistance, rotation, spinning, then we can simply study, and if we obtain the result, then we can use it in more complicated way. So in simple way, I mean to say that another example, suppose we want to study gravity, then we can consider what is the cause of gravity due to the mass of the earth and ignoring the rotation of the earth. And again, if we studied the result, then we can also add what is the effect of gravity if the earth is rotating. So means first we will start from very simple model, and then we can add some other results and more results, and finally we will reach our goal. So the situation is physics now, it is not complete. Even so many problems are there, like Big Bang theory, origin of universe, at the center of black hole. So many problems is still not answered. Okay. Now the question is, what is the relation between physics and mathematics? As we know, physics involve the laws related with nature, and that laws are obtained by the series of experiments performed. So single law is obtained after the series of experiment is performed, and these laws can be expressed in the form of statements. Whatever the laws we are obtained, that is written in the form of some statement and words, and that, but physics always involves some physical quantities, and that physical quantities can be expressed, mostly it is expressed in the form of some mathematical equations. So without mathematics, we cannot understand physics. Very simple example, can you imagine your life without words, language, expression, etc.? In the same way, we cannot imagine physics without mathematics. So in short, we can say mathematics is the language of physics, or mathematics is the tool of physics. Now we want to discuss some branches of physics. In earlier stages, physics is divided in the parts of like mechanics, heat, we can say optics, electricity, and magnetism. But major branch of the physics is classified in these four parts. One is classical physics, second is quantum mechanics, quantum physics, third is the theory of relativity, and the fourth one is statistical physics. So these are the four branches of physics: classical physics, quantum physics, theory of relativity, and statistical physics. I will discuss one by one in detail. But in general, as I already discussed, the scope of physics is very wide. It works from universe level and also for the nuclear region. Means its domain is microscopic to macroscopic. Micro means small, atoms are subatomic particle nuclear range, and large may be astrophysical objects, astrophysical phenomena, galaxy, universe at that level. So now the question is that why these are different branches? What is the need of other branches of physics? The first thing is that whatever is happening around us if we want to understand what is happening around, we need all these. But if we want to survive our life, for the survival of our daily life, classical mechanics is sufficient. So generally we can say that classical mechanics describe the law of nature at ordinary macroscopic scale, large scale. Means if you want to study motion up to objects, planet system, at that levels, classical mechanics is okay. For large distance it is okay. For large objects it is okay. But if we want to study the laws of nature related with the atomic or subatomic particles, at that situation, classical physics cannot answer. This is the major difference. But for our survival of our daily life, classical physics is sufficient. Now the major difference between classical and quantum is that in classical physics, we have a particle, point mass systems. Classical physics is predictable, completely predictable. If we know some initial condition, then we can predict the future of the particle. But in other hand, quantum physics is not predictable, it is probabilistic. In quantum physics, there are concept of duality, wave and particle both nature. So in quantum physics, particle is also related with some wave function, and that is described by Schrodinger wave equations. And other differences between the classical and quantum is that in classical physics, energy is continuous, but in quantum physics, energy is quantized. That is minimum energy is quantized. So there are some other differences why we need quantum physics. Initially, there are two experiments. For example, black body radiation, black body spectrum, and photoelectric effect. That is not explained by the scientist on the basis of theory of classical mechanics or classical theory. And there are other phenomena like pair production, pair annihilation, lasers. These are also not explained by the quantum mechanics. That's why explained by the classical physics. That's why we need quantum mechanics. The major difference between the classical and quantum is that classical is working at the macroscopic level and quantum is working for the microscopic level. From the quantum mechanics, under certain limits, certain boundaries of large domains, we can recover our classical mechanics. Another theory is theory of relativity. Theory of relativity has two forms: special relativity (SR) and general theory of relativity (GR). The major difference between SR and GR, special relativity and general relativity, is that in SR, theory is without gravity. Special relativity applies to all physical phenomena in the absence of gravity. If there is no gravity, then we are dealing with the special relativity. In special theory of relativity, there is concept of four-dimensional space-time, and here length is contracted, time is dilated, velocity is in addition, and mass is varying according to speed. So our special relativity is applicable for the particles which are moving with very high speed, maybe comparable to the speed of light. But in classical physics, it is applicable only for the particles which are moving not very fast. If the particle is moving very fast, then classical mechanics is not applicable. So this is the major difference between classical physics and theory of relativity. Even in the case of theory of relativity, we can regain our classical physics by consideration of low limit of velocities. Now, if we want to study the theory of relativity, then it is applicable for particles moving with very large speeds. And in that situation, mass, length, time is not constant, they are varying. Now the next one is GR, general relativity. In general theory of relativity explains the law of gravitation. In general theory of relativity, gravity is present. It explains the law of gravitation and its relation to the other laws of the physics, other forces of the nature. It is applicable for astronomical objects, cosmological events. So in the case of theory of general relativity, we can say that theory of relativity, general theory of relativity, is the classical theory of gravity. It is the classical theory of gravity. It is giving so many answers related with black holes, some answers related with astronomical phenomena, astrophysical phenomena, neutron stars, pulsars. If you want to study these objects, then general theory of relativity gives the prediction. There are so many predictions of general theory of relativity like gravitational redshift, time dilation, so many phenomena are there, bending of light. So now theory of relativity has two parts, SR and GR. SR is applicable in the absence of gravity and GR is applicable in the presence of gravity, and this is the classical theory of gravity. So we can say that theory of relativity is in general classical physics, classical theory of relativity. Now next branch is statistical physics. Actually statistical physics is applicable only, statistical mechanics is applicable only when the situation is like that, if we have large number of atoms, large number of populations. When the large number of particles or large number of atoms or populations are present, then our Newtonian mechanics are simply we cannot find the answer. At that moment we need some approximations, some average, some probability. So in this theory of statistical mechanics, statistical physics, it is applicable only when the large number of particles are there, large number of populations are there, and is based on approximations and probability. This statistical physics, when added with classical, it becomes classical statistical physics. It is also applicable for quantum statistical physics, and when the number of population is large, then only statistical will play a role. So these are the major 4 branches of physics. Now we want to understand fundamental interactions. So as we discussed earlier, physics is the study of law of nature, whatever is happening around us in the universe, nature. But question is that how can we study all the laws of the nature? So if we want to understand all the laws of nature, then we need to understand 4 fundamental interactions. So why the thing is fundamental? Answer is that these 4 interactions like gravitational, electromagnetic, weak nuclear and strong nuclear force, these are fundamental interaction. Reason is that it cannot be broken into more fundamental. That's why it is a fundamental interaction. So I will discuss about this in next slides, but some physicists also believe that there is 5th force, but that is not established theory. The reason behind the 5th force is that is related with some cosmological reasons like dark energy, dark matter. I will discuss later. So we have 4 forces of the nature: gravitational, electromagnetic, weak nuclear and strong nuclear force. With the help of these 4 forces of the nature, we want to understand the phenomenon, whatever is happening around us. That is actually physics. So the main aim is that if we want to understand the physics, then we need all these 4 interactions. Now the question arises, why we need all the 4? We need a single theory. Scientists are trying to unify all these 4 forces. That is known as unification of physics. Now let us discuss one by one. As I already discussed, first 4, gravitational, is related with the classical field and it is related with general theory of relativity. And all the forces are related with field, and the other 3 forces are related with quantum fields, and that is governed by the standard model of particle physics. Now first one is the gravitational force, gravitational interaction. This gravitational interaction works between any 2 bodies. As we know, like Newton's law of gravitation, we have 2 masses, m1 and m2, and they are separated by some distance r. Then there is a force F equal to G m1 m2 upon r square. So this is the gravitational interaction, gravitational force. What is the cause of the gravitational interaction? The cause of the gravitational interaction is the mass. Due to the mass, there is an interaction. And this force is always attractive. It is always attractive. It operates in all objects of the universe because its range is very large. It is applicable for very large distances. That's why it is also known as long range order force. But its strength is weak. It is a weak force generally. And it is a central force because it is working along a line joining the two masses. So this is a central force. So gravitational force is applicable between the very high objects. Its range is very large. It is of the central nature. It is always attractive in the nature. And due to the gravitational force, gravitational interaction, this universe and this our system hold in the universe. So this is about gravitational force. Now the next one is the electromagnetic force. So this is electric force and magnetic force. So as we know that it is due to the stationary or moving charges. If the charges are stationary, that is electrostatic force. If the charges are in motion, it can produce electric and magnetic field both. But if the charges are accelerated, it can produce electromagnetic wave. So in electromagnetic force, basically we also know that varying electric field can produce magnetic field, and varying magnetic field can also produce the electric field. So this electromagnetic force is due to the stationary or moving charges. It may be attractive or repulsive, and it operates on the charged particle. It is also long range order force. It is also a central force because it is along the line. It is stronger than gravitational force, and it is a central force. As we know that forces like tension force, friction force, these the forces which are not gravitational, these are related with electromagnetic nature, electromagnetic force. So the cause of the gravitational force is the mass, and the cause of the electromagnetic interaction is the charge. It may be static or moving. Now next one is the weak nuclear interaction. The weak nuclear interaction is the mechanism of interaction between subatomic particles. Weak interaction is the mechanism of interaction between subatomic particles, which is responsible for radioactive decay of atoms. So weak interaction is the mechanism of interaction between the subatomic particles, which is responsible for radioactive decay. And the next important thing is that it participates in nuclear fission. It participates in nuclear fission. And the theory describing behavior and effects is known as quantum flavor dynamics, QFD. The effective range of the weak nuclear force is limited to the subatomic distances and is less than the diameter of the proton. So the range of weak interaction is less than the diameter of proton. So it is working between the subatomic particles. In general, we can say this is working between subatomic particles. It is the reason why there is nuclear radioactivity, and other thing is that it is effective in the range of subatomic distances, which is less than the diameter of the proton. And the main important thing about weak interaction is that in all the four interactions, weak interaction is different from other three. The reason is that in weak interaction is that interaction which breaks parity symmetry and charge parity symmetry. Means in all the three interactions, gravitational, electromagnetic and strong nuclear interaction, all the three interactions, charge symmetry, parity symmetry, this is conserved, they are not breaking. But this is the difference in comparison to others. In weak interaction, that is parity symmetry and charge parity symmetry charge parity symmetry is breaking, is not conserved. What is, in general, I mean to say, what is parity symmetry means, if there are coordinates, let us say some coordinates are x, y, z, and after transformation, if x becomes minus x, y becomes minus y, z becomes minus z, means something in inversion, mirror image. If this is possible, then this is the break parity symmetry. In all the three interactions, parity symmetry, CP violation, these are conserved, but here it is not conserved. There is symmetry breaking. This is the major difference of weak interaction in comparison to the other three interactions. Now we are discussing strong nuclear force. Strong nuclear force operates between the two nucleons. Inside the nucleus, there is proton and neutron. So it is operating between two nucleons. Due to the nuclear force, protons and the neutrons inside the nucleus, they are attached with each other. Its range is very short. Nuclear force works within the range of nuclei, and its range is roughly 10 to the power minus 15 meters. So its range is very short. So it is also known as short range order force. It is the strongest force in the nature. And the main important thing is that it is mass independent, it is charge independent. As in case of nuclei, proton and proton has a charge, but they have the same force as the force between neutron and neutron. Neutron is neutral. Same force in neutron and proton. So this nuclear force is mass independent, charge independent, but it is spin dependent. Nuclear force depends on the spin. The one important thing is that it is non-central. Its nature is not central. It is not working along a line only. It is non-central. So at the range of 10 to the power minus 15 meter, roughly, we can say size of the atomic nuclei. It is the nuclear force is stronger than 130 times than the strong electromagnetic force, and 10 to the power 6 times stronger than the weak nuclear force, and it is roughly 10 to the power 38 times as strong as the gravitation. So means highest range, highest interaction is the nuclear interaction. We can give this detail in the next table. This is the comparison of 4 interaction. Here it is listed like interaction is strong, electromagnetic, weak and gravitational. Now I am discussing the strength, relative strength. If a strong force is 1, then understand electromagnetic force is 1 by 1000. Means we can say that if strong force is 1, then electromagnetic force is 1 by 1000. And weak force is 1 by 10 to the power 16. And gravitational force is 10 to the power 41. So we can understand from this table, strong force is this is the strongest, number 1. Second number is electromagnetic. Third is weak force, nuclear force, and fourth one is the gravitational force. So gravitational force is the weakest in all of the above, and the strong nuclear force is the strongest force. This is the relative strength. Now we want to understand what is the characteristic time, and this data is in the second. So now the question is that what is characteristic time? The characteristic time is a measure of time, how long the force need to act to produce an effect. This is the time, how long a force need to interact. Means it's is the measure of time, how long the force need to act to produce an effect. This is the characteristic time. This is the time that is taken to give the effect. So in this case, I have written here the characteristic time for a strong nuclear force is very less. This is 10 to the power minus 23 seconds. This is very less. And the characteristic time for the gravitational force is very large. So this is the order of characteristic time. 10 to the power minus 23 seconds for a strong force, 10 to the power minus 20 seconds for electromagnetic interaction, 10 to the power minus 10 seconds for weak, and 10 to the power 16 for gravitational. This is the time of interaction. And next is the range. femtometer, that is 10 की power minus 15. So this is the range. Strong, the range of strong is 2 into 10 to 15 meter. Electromagnetic has very high range, long or range order force. This is infinite. Weak is also working in 10 की power minus 3 into 10 की power minus 15 meter, and gravitational is also a long range order force. And next one is the associated particle. If there is some interaction, then there should be some associated particle, maybe some particle which can exchange the force. So for a strong interaction, these associated particles are pion, kaon and gluon. Pion, kaon and gluon. For electromagnetic, this associated particle is photon. For weak, intermediate boson, maybe W plus, W minus and Z boson. This is for weak interaction. For the gravitational interaction, intermediate particle associated particle is graviton. Let me explain this in more detail. If there is an interaction, for electromagnetic interaction, if something is interacting through an electromagnetic interaction, then there is photon. Photon is the carrier particle of interaction. In the same way, if there is a gravitational interaction, then carrier particle is graviton. But graviton is theoretically discussed, but experimentally it is not detected till now. So this is about graviton. It is not experimentally detected till now. Now the question comes about unification of forces. Now if we want to understand the laws of nature, whatever is happening around us, then we need 4 forces of the nature, what we discussed up to now. But the question is, why we need 4 forces of nature to understand a single phenomena? The answer is that because all the force interaction is working in different domains, but scientists are trying to unify it. Now the situation of unification is that now we have 2 types of interactions. One is gravitational interaction, that is related with field with general theory of relativity, and the 3 electromagnetic, weak and strong nuclear force is governed by standard model of particle physics. So now if we want to unify, then what is the situation of unification? At the high energies, electromagnetic and weak force is unified. Electromagnetic and weak is unified, and this becomes electro-weak interaction. So 2 forces, electromagnetic force and weak nuclear force, is unified at high energy levels. And after that, now we have combined 2 forces. Then electromagnetic plus weak, that is electro-weak, and when this is with strong nuclear, electro-weak is combined with strong nuclear force at very high energies, that is roughly 10 की power 16 GeV, at 10 की power 16 GeV. When the energies are very large, 10 की power 16 GeV, to unify all these 3 forces, we need a lot of energy, that is 10 की power 6 GeV. At this energy, we can say that electro-weak is unified with strong nuclear force. So we can say that now electromagnetic, weak nuclear and strong nuclear force is unified, and they are called as electronuclear interaction. And this unification happened at the cost of very high energy, that is 10 की power 16 GeV. This is not very small, this is very huge energy. This energy is roughly 10 की power 3 less than of the Planck scale energy, and the Planck scale energy is 10 की power 19 GeV. So this unification, when we are talking about the standard model of particle physics, all the three forces are unified, and this is known as grand unified theory. Grand unified theory means models predicted that even higher energy, the strong interaction and the electroweak interaction will unify into a single electronuclear interaction. Now the question is that what about the fourth interaction, that is gravitational interaction? So now we have two things. One is related with electronuclear interaction, another one is gravity. Now the scientists are trying to unify gravity with electronuclear interaction, and till now it is not unified. That is the dream. This is known as theory of everything. So theory of everything means it is unification of all the four forces, but that is dream. It is not unified till today. And standard model of particle physics, grand unified theories, is the unification of three interactions: electromagnetic, weak nuclear and strong nuclear forces. Now let us discuss a little bit about fifth force. So many scientists propose the fifth force. The reason behind that is cosmological models, cosmology. It has been discovered that most of the mass of the universe is accounted by an unknown form of matter called dark matter. Most of the mass of the universe is related with dark matter. And another thing is that most physicists believe that dark matter consists of new undiscovered particle, and some believe that it could be related to an unknown fundamental force. Means some scientists believe that dark matter is related with some fundamental force interaction. That interaction is roughly strength equal to the strength of gravity. It is much smaller than the electromagnetic and nuclear forces. And another reason behind that is that due to the expansion of the accelerating universe, expansion of the universe is accelerating, which has been attributed to a form of energy called dark energy. And some scientists believe that fifth interaction is dark energy. So in general, we can say that scientists believe in the fifth force of the nature, and that fifth force is related with somehow dark matter and dark energy, and its strength is roughly the strength of gravity. Now the situation is quantum gravity. So up to that we have two theories. One is gravity theory, because this is not unified, and second one is standard model of particle physics, and this is GR, general relativity. There may be situations like when the masses are very large and the sizes are very small, and that happens like quantum gravity. So to understand this range of quantum gravity, we have to understand the three scales. Planck scale. Planck scale is the Planck energy, that is 10 to the power 19 GeV. This is not possible to find in the labs roughly. And the Planck time is 10 to the power minus 43 seconds, and the Planck length is 10 to the power minus 35 meter. What I mean to say is simply, the size of nucleus is 10 to the power minus 15 meter, but the Planck length is 10 to the power minus 35 meter. What is the physics between 10 to the power minus 15 meter to 10 to the power minus 35 meter? This is the question. Another thing is that if energy is very high, 10 to the power 19 GeV, then what is the physics? Because we don't know till now. And if the interaction time is 10 to the power minus 43 seconds, that is Planck time, what is the physics at this scale? So main thing is that what is the physics when the energy is at this scale, 10 to the power 19 GeV, Planck time is at this scale 10 to the power minus 43 seconds, and length is the 10 to the power minus 10 to the power minus 35 meter. At these scales, the physics what we need is quantum gravity. Means one domain is general theory of relativity, second domain is standard model of particle physics. But there are situations, for example, at the center of black hole, or another example is we can say that the best known example is represented by the conditions in the first 10 की power minus 43 seconds of universe after the Big Bang. At that situation, approximately 13.8 billion years ago, when the time is 10 की power minus 43 seconds, what should be the physics? These things cannot be answered alone, either by theory of relativity or quantum mechanics, or we can say standard model of particle physics. To understand all these phenomena, few scientists believe that we need to unify gravity with quantum mechanics. Because at that time masses, energies are energy density is very high. Situations where energy density is very high, but length is very small. Some stars like Planck stars also exist. Then we need to unify quantum mechanics and gravity. That is quantum gravity. Some theories of quantum gravities are like string theory and loop quantum gravity. But we can say that still quantum theory of gravity is not a very well established theory. So in today's lecture, what we have discussed, in short, we have discussed the every domain of physics, and we discussed what is science, what are the values of science, what is physics, how to study physics, why to study physics, physics and its branches, fundamental interactions, and finally we have give some ideas of unification theory, and finally we have discussed the current situation of physics, that is quantum theory of gravity, and hope this lecture is useful to understand the basic domain of physics. Thank you.